Well, hello and welcome to today's episode of the Ultimate Wellness Group Transformation Tuesday. Got a great show for you today. The subject is going to be high blood pressure, understanding it and fixing it. So please, if you have anybody that you're concerned with, a family member, yourself, or anybody, share the show. And then, of course, we got some mainstream minute points that I'd like to make today to help us decipher through these ads and these so-called news stories about health. Okay, so without any further, for me, we're going to start by asking God to give us an open mind, the ability to learn, the desire to apply, and also for me, remove my ego, remove my arrogance, and make me a vessel for your benefit. So again, thank you for spending some of your Tuesday with us. Let's get directly into the show, okay? Now, of course, when we talk about the subject of high blood pressure, there are plenty of people who automatically think, first thing in their mind is stress, right? I'm stressed out. It's going to make my blood pressure go up. William, thank you for coming in. Why controlling your anger may help you live longer. So let's kind of look at what this article is talking about, because it is about that subject. It starts off talking about, people driving you off when you're driving, and then you have people who suppress their anger, and then some people who just go off, right? And they're talking about the fact that both of them can be negative. When we're talking about all across the country, all across this country, where they have these rage rooms where people go in and they break things or beat up on cars or beat up on, walls and things of that nature, and that's supposed to be relieving them of the stress. Well, I don't necessarily know if that in particular is the answer. Shirley, thank you for coming in. But I will say that physical exercise does help relieve a lot of the tension that builds up in the body when we're doing things like this. So, they're talking about people doing these aggressive type of things, and then they can eventually take that and start doing aggressive things, away from whatever this place is. And we're going to talk about solutions later, but I really just wanted to talk about this article. I really think that most of these articles, as you all hear me talk about them, they do give some information, but a lot of it is fluff, or some of it is trying to send you to doctors so they can prescribe you things, or other practitioners. But at the end of the day, I think one of the most important things is we all have to know how to manage strong emotions, right? Because we're going to have them in a world like we live in. You watch the television, you get afraid because they're talking about coronavirus all day. You get anxious in the next episode because they're talking about the elections, and you're concerned about Trump still being in the White House. And then you get to the next one, there's some local news about some murder that happened right around the corner from your house. You get in your car in the morning, and in the evening time you have to struggle with traffic and all these type of things. These things can take a strong emotional toll on us. And at the end of the day, if you believe that that's going to cause you to have high blood pressure, then it may happen. But Zena Hayes, thank you for coming in. I'm here to tell you that stress and emotions cannot cause you to have high blood pressure in and of themselves. There have to be some other things that you are doing wrong, and your lifestyle in general has to not be in accordance with maintaining the body in its normal activity. Because if that was the case, then like many other people who work in industries where it's very stressful, like the top stressful jobs would be dentistry, would be medicine, and some of the aspects of medicine like a surgeon or a psychiatrist. And then you have air traffic controllers. Erica, how you doing? My long-term assistant that rolled with me when I first opened my office. Thanks for coming in, Erica. So there are a lot of jobs out here, and a lot of people that are in positions in their life where they're very stressed out. And if it was just stress, then I think the majority of people on the earth would have high blood pressure. High blood pressure occurs because a lot of different things are going wrong. And so we're going to get into that today. Amir Rashid, thank you for coming in. So let's get right into it and start talking about what is blood pressure, why we have blood pressure, and then what we can do to maintain it normally and why things go in the wrong direction. So in order to discuss what blood pressure is, we have to do a little anatomy lesson, okay? So I hope you all don't get upset at having a little class here. But here you have your heart. And of course, the red blood vessels are the arteries, and the blue ones are the veins, right? So red is going away from the heart, and blue is bringing blood back to the heart, right? The blood that is going from the lungs now, if you look at that, those vessels there and those vessels there, which are in the lungs, that's the actual opposite. Zambezi, thank you for coming in. The blood that comes from your heart and goes to the lungs are the blue ones, they are the veins, and the blood that's coming back from the lungs are the arteries, or the red ones, because it's the opposite when it goes to the lungs, right? The blood that's going to the lungs doesn't have oxygen in it. The blood flow that's coming back from the lungs to the heart, it does have oxygen, and that's what's being sent out. So it's backwards when it goes to the lungs, other than every other part of the body. April, thank you for coming in. Everybody, please do me a favor, share the show, share the show. Everybody needs to hear this. We have too much blood pressure problems in our community, so please share the show. D. Kiki, thank you for coming in. So when your heart pumps, when your heart squeezes down to push the blood out to the body, that is your systolic number. That's the number on top. When they tell you your blood pressure is 1 whatever over 1 whatever, or 1 whatever over 80 or 90, 60, 70, where it should be, that's the systolic pump, the pressure that your heart has to push against all these blood vessels is the systolic pressure. Kimberly Harris, thank you for coming in. And then the diastolic pressure is when the heart, in that short period of time that it relaxes, and is basically sucking all the blood from the venous parts of our anatomy, okay? So let me show that in a little different way. No, wait. I lost it, y'all. Hold on, let me pull this up real quick. Sorry for the delay. So when you have that's what I wanted to show right there. When you have a blood vessel anatomy of the artery, it is a vessel that's open, and the blood, like we just finished saying, right? The heart is going to beat, and it's going to push blood out of those arteries all over the body. In the vessels that are coming back to the heart, which are the blue ones, they have they have valves in them. And that picture that you see right here, that's not over there, are valves. And what does the valve do? Ronnie Alexander, thanks for coming in. So a valve is going to close off and keep that blood from going in the wrong direction, right? Because the heart is pushing up against this one, but the heart is basically sucking this like a vacuum, is bringing blood back, but it has to keep it from going back retrograde or going back against the system that it was coming up to. And we may be able to see this a little better in this picture over here. Not that one. In this one here. So if you can see this blood vessel, which is your artery, the blood is just going to flow through there. But in the venous one, it's going to go, and then that little flap there, which is a valve, is going to open up and keep that blood from going back down to the legs or back up into the brain or anywhere else that the body is trying to send it to. Okay, so now, I hope that makes sense. You're pumping the blood away, systolic. Diastolic is bringing it back, right? Now, what are some of the other systems that are associated with your blood pressure? It's many, because when we talk about that system that I just finished mentioning, there are many different aspects that are helping to control this. So there, and I'm not going to go into detail in all these, but I just wanted to point this out because when it comes to blood pressure issues, people have to understand that it's not just, oh, I'm eating too much salt or I just gained weight. There are many, many factors. Latrice, thank you for coming in. There are many, many factors that cause blood pressure problems. So these are the kidneys. And you can see that it says there, pressure, natriuresis. Don't worry about that bigger word. That has to do with salt and water going with salt. But you also have your heart. And one of the things that's in the heart is how much blood is in it, right? So if your heart is beating, boom, pushing it out, then sucking it back in, pushing it out, sucking back in. When it opens up and brings that blood flow back in, if there's too much in there, the body has to start making some adjustments. And you have here, that's the blood vessel itself. And you see down there nitric oxide. And also the fact that a blood vessel is supposed to open up when you're pushing the blood and squeeze down after the blood doesn't need as much. Or if I'm trying to get more to the heart, more to the legs, to the muscles, more to the kidney, then that blood vessel opens up to get more blood flow and then closes down when it doesn't need as much blood flow. So that's the blood vessel aspect of it. You have the brain aspect of it. Troy, thank you for coming in. Appreciate it, bro. The brain is the most important aspect of all of this because, again, we don't have to get into all of this, but the brain is, as I said last time, when you're talking about your hypothalamus, the hypothalamus in the brain is evaluating everything that's going into the body every second and every minute of every day. While you're asleep, awake, moving, whatever you're involved in, the brain is evaluating how much salt is in there. How much pressure does it take to get me enough? How much pressure does it take to take care of all these organs? Constant evaluation. And then the last is going to be cellular. Your cells are asking and giving messages to do such and such and such and such. If all of us that are sitting here listening to this program right now, while you're sitting here listening to this program, if let's just say some crazy thing happened and something fell on your leg and popped, just busted your skin open, you start bleeding, your blood flow and the blood vessels are going to do two things. Number one, your body is saying, we have to clot that. Get some clotting factors over there. So the heart is going to increase its beat. The flow of things that are going to help stop bleeding are going to increase to stop the problem. And then the body also has to balance. Some of these blood vessels have to be closed down because we don't want to bleed to death. So I hope I'm making sense. So all these systems work together. As I always say, it's impossible to ever say, like, I have high blood pressure, meaning you only have a problem with your blood vessels. Not possible. This is a system that works as one. And so when you are considering blood pressure problems, you have to consider the whole body. And most of us know, if you have a blood pressure problem, you could have a stroke, you could have a heart attack, you could mess up your kidneys. Yes, but why? We're going to get into all of that because I want you all to be empowered to understand why. But I want to go first to these medications that a lot of us are taking. And just talk a little bit about what is going on when you go to a doctor and you get prescribed one of these blood pressure medicines. All right, and let's just look at this list really quickly. The first one is a diuretic that is most commonly used in black people. And when you go into a hospital, most hospitals that I shouldn't say most, all hospitals that you walk in the door, you look, and everybody in the emergency room or in the urgent care center has an IV bag. Why? Because most people are dehydrated. But yet, when a black person has a blood pressure problem, you put them on diuretics to drain more water out their body. So, question to you, is it possible that the fact that black people are the majority of people that are on dialysis, could that be because we're being treated with diuretics? George Allen, thank you for coming in. And then the other question that you have to ask yourself is, if I'm on a diuretic, and that is draining water out of my body to so-called bring my blood pressure down, what will that do to the overall body when the reason why most people, when you go into the hospital, have an IV bag is to stop them from having kidney failure? That's the main reason we put IV bags in people when they come into the hospital, because we want to make sure the kidneys don't shut down. Jameric Lyles, thank you for coming in. So beta blocker, that's a system that deals with our nerves, mainly the ones that are coming out of the brain to deal with blood pressure. ACE inhibitors. So beta blockers, that's usually a medicine that ends with an OL, labetalol, something a law, all right? That's usually your beta blockers. ACE inhibitors are usually ones that end with an IL, enalapril, lactopril, something like that. ACE inhibitor works in a kidney system. Angiotensin 2 receptor blockers, those sometimes end in an IN as well, but both of these are dealing with the kidneys. There's a system in the kidney that ACE stands for angiotensin converting enzyme. What is that? It's a natural body-made vasoconstrictor. So we talked earlier, right? If you have a blood vessel that big because your kidneys need that much blood flow, if something is going on, sometimes if you close the blood vessel, you are sending less blood flow to that organ. But sometimes when you close it down, it's because you want to increase the pressure to that blood, to that organ, all right? So this system increases blood flow to certain areas of the body, and we use those medications to stop the kidney from increasing the blood pressure. Calcium channel blockers, very common in black people. That's working in the calcium channels, right? And so while we're on that subject, I just want to show you all something real quick, and that is this right here. You see that sodium potassium pump cycle. So again, this is just something I want you all to understand. These just are what we call transport areas in a cell. So this could be the cell wall, and this would be like a door, no difference than your door in and out of your house, right? But the difference here is that you see you have 3 sodium that have to go in for 2 potassium that have to come out. Now, why am I showing you this? Because a lot of us automatically say things like, I have high blood pressure because I eat too much salt. You can't live without salt. I just proved that. That pump that I just showed you a picture of, let me show it to you again. Latrice, you say, right, diuretics, which then destroys the kidney. Absolutely. Ann Taylor, thank you for coming in. So we have billions, trillions probably of cells in the body, and every cell has these type of receptors or these type of doors on them, right? These type of pumps, or these type of travel mechanisms in and out of cells. You have to have sodium and potassium in all of them in order to work correctly. So if we have trillions of cells and all of them work, most of them work with sodium, and then some of them have calcium that are going in and magnesium coming out. Some of them have different things, but most of them are sodium, potassium, or calcium and magnesium. How could you possibly not need a lot of sodium in the body? So see, if I'm showing you a cell of the human body that needs a lot of sodium, but yet people tell you that your blood pressure is high because of sodium, then that obviously is something that we have to pay attention to and do a little more investigation. And the investigation should tell us this, that processed sodium, meaning that the sodium that is white, the sodium that has no nutrients in it, the type of sodium that most of us have on our tables, which is the little bottle with the girl with the umbrella, that's sodium, chloride, and iodine. 3 nutrients on a periodic table where there's 118. Alan Bowden, thank you for coming in. So if you switch and go to sea salt, which depending on the type that you get can have many more nutrients, it balances the body. No, salt is not bad for you. The wrong type of salt is bad for you, absolutely. And so we have to get our understanding so that we know exactly what to use in our food, and then you won't have blood pressure problems. I put salt on my food every day. Every time my wife cooks, she puts salt on our food. So it's not bad. The wrong type of salt is bad. Maxine, thank you for coming in. And so let's get back to these blood pressure medicines and finish the list. So that is your calcium channel blocker. I went off to the sodium, but calcium channel blockers is very similar to that I showed you. It's a channel, a calcium that goes in, magnesium will come out. So if you're blocking your calcium channels, what is that doing to the rest of the body? Alpha blockers, another nerve system that comes from the brain. Alpha 2 receptor agonists, same system, just work differently. And so then you see down here it says combined alpha and beta blockers. Central agonists are ones that go straight and work directly on some of the things that are occurring in the brain. And then peripheral adrenergic, those are ones that go and work directly to open up a blood vessel like I was talking about, right? So they work on a system to make a blood vessel do this and try to bring the blood vessel down. I mean the blood pressure down. And vasodilators, same situation, but they work systematically through the whole body. So I hope that makes sense. I'm sure some of you have heard of some of those blood pressures because either you are on them or somebody in your family has them, right? And so why are so many people going to the doctor to get medication for blood pressure is because most of us are highly concerned about the problems that come with high blood pressure, right? Consequences of high blood pressure are stroke, heart failure, heart attacks, erectile dysfunction, kidney disease, and vision loss. Jafik Admin, thank you for coming in. Is Hain sea salt any good? I'm not sure. I don't know what Hain sea salt. If you could take a picture while we're on here and send it, I'll take a look. But I usually tell people that when you're dealing with your sea salt, look at the ingredients. If the only thing in there is sea salt, it may be pretty good. You just have to do some research on the company that you use and see how many nutrients are actually in the one that you use. Okay? So I hope I answered that question. If you can, send me a picture of it and the ingredients. I can try to take a look at that for you. Okay? Now, here is a picture of an anatomical dissection of all the blood vessels in the human body, right? So this is what the body has to push against when the heart is beating, right? These are the major big blood vessels of the body. And so it's not difficult to push through there, but it is difficult to push through those that you see and all of those. Now, what's a good analogy we could use? A water hose. Most of us have probably been outside, use a water hose, right? You put your finger over the end of the water hose when what? You want the water to go further. What are you doing? You're increasing the pressure by decreasing the diameter of that hose, right? If the hose is like that and you put your finger over, you're blocking part of the hole. And so now the water's coming out of there and the pressure is higher, right? So think about this. The big blood vessels near the heart are huge. Some of those blood vessels literally, I mean, I've seen them with my own eyes. Some of them are that big. And I'm not exaggerating at all. They're huge, right? But when you get down to these parts of the body, that right there is the kidney. Those are the lungs. You can see the outline of them, right? All these little vessels that are running throughout the skin and all the little aspects around the nerves and all the aspects of the human body. If you have to push through the big ones and then all the way through these, it starts to get tough. That's what that heart is pushing against every day, right? Again, the heart is pushing, when it's squeezing, against all of those blood vessels. That's your systolic. And then with the short period of time, because your heart is beating like that, right? Boom, 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 boom. So that short time where it's not beating, that's when it's sucking the blood back in. That's your diastolic blood pressure, okay? So I hope this is making sense. You all let me know. And Taylor, you said, what is the best type? I believe the best type is Celtic sea salt. That's what I use every day. I eat one meal every other day, but I use sea salt in my water to hydrate me. Hydration is different than drinking water, and you guys can check out some of my other programs if you want to know the specifics of that. Okay, now, why is it possible to have kidney disease when you have a blood pressure problem? So here you see, this is where you make your urine and urinate out. That is your vein, and that's the renal artery. So this is where blood flow is coming into the kidney, right? And you can see out here on the edge, you see all those little red lines, that's the blood vessels. Very, very soft material in this kidney, right? And so if your blood pressure is so high, let's go back to this picture real quick. You don't exercise, you eat the wrong type of food, you're way overweight, and your body has to push through all of these blood vessels and the weight. And we're going to talk about what happens to these blood vessels over time. And there aren't just one or two blood vessels that are being affected, it's the whole body's blood vessels. So now the pressure in your kidney is too high, and you're damaging small parts of these cells. Or sometimes you'll damage a whole area because your blood pressure is so high, it's tearing apart one aspect of this little, what we call a cortex, right? You see that right there, it says cortex, where this whole thing would be your renal dialysis in the overall kidney. So you can damage a portion of this. And so let's say for your whole kidney to be working correctly, we say that's 100% functioning. And you go to the doctor, they check your glomerular filtration rate, and they check your BUN and creatinine. All these numbers look good. And you tear up a whole section here, and now your blood flow is now working at 80%, or your kidney function is now 80%. You go back and now your creatinine is starting to go up, and your BUN is starting to go up. BUN is blood urea nitrate. That means that you're not releasing enough toxins. So now you're keeping toxins in your body. You're storing toxins in the body, and that's causing more damage to all of the aspects of the human body, not just the kidney, but it just continues to get worse and worse and worse because you're not doing things to solve the problem. William says, I'm staying on my 1 meal every other day with Dr. Keaty and my blood pressure is regulating itself. That's right. Every other day, yes. I did 1 meal a day, I think for about 8 years, got pretty proficient at that, and so I went to 1 meal every other day, and I'm trying to master that, okay? So the other thing that we always worry about when we're talking about blood pressure is strokes, right? So here is an imagery of what all the major blood vessels look like in the brain. And that's what you don't want to be damaged, right? And when we look a little closer, this is what it looks like. Those big blood vessels that go into the brain that are coming from what? The heart. See, these two blood vessels right here are rolling up in your neck. When you see people turn their head and you see a little pulse in their neck, that's what it is. That blood flow is going up into the neck every time you pump, right? And so when you go to your brain, did I just erase that? God dog it. I'm sorry, y'all. Give me just a second. So when you are sending blood flow to your brain has to send it everywhere normally, right? And if you have an aspect of your brain that, okay, I can't find a picture, but I'm just going to go here. If you find an aspect of your brain that the blood pressure is too high and you bust one of those blood vessels, all of that tissue of the brain that is relying on that area, on that blood, right? Let's say this one right here pops. So all of that area in there that's supposed to get blood flow and stay alive by that blood flow, it pops. You can't send the blood flow anywhere. That area starts dying. That's what a stroke is. So you go to the hospital and you see your loved one in the bed and the whole right side of their body doesn't work. Or they can't talk. Or they say that they have problems with their vision. It could be a whole lot of things. Now, some of it will come back because some of these other blood vessels are going to try to take up for the loss. But in general, most of the time when we see a person have a stroke, that person shows some signs of that stroke for the rest of their life. So these are some of the things that happen long term when we're not taking care of ourselves correctly, right? William Muhammad says, get the book. Oh, yeah, okay. So I wanted to show this because this is very important for us to understand. Now you see this blood vessel here is considered normal, right? It has this section in here, which is the endothelium, and then we have the the muscle part of the blood vessel, which opens and closes it, right? And so in people that eat the wrong type of foods, don't exercise, don't drink enough water, don't do enough of the things to keep their body correct, they start building these plaques, which is cholesterol, damaged tissues, old tissues, and the body just walls it off with fibrous tissue to keep it there. So I wanted to make it clear that if a person has a heart attack, they usually have this. Most people will not have a heart problem just with a blood pressure problem, because the heart purpose is that it continues to pump. It's going to continue to try to make things happen no matter how bad things are. But the difference is when you have atherosclerosis, which means you have a plaque, versus arteriosclerosis. When we smoke and we drink and we have a lot of toxins in the body and we have a lot of things that are irritating our blood vessels over a long period of time, see, this blood vessel over here can't open and close correctly because of those plaques, making it less able to be functional. But this one over here isn't able to open and close correctly because the tissues are just too tough. They're tight. Just like an old, same situation, right? Old rubber band or old hose. It gets real hard and you can't move it and bend it like it normally is. Blood vessels get that same way. And so this is what happens that causes those problems in the brain, causes those problems in the kidney, when that blood vessel is not able to open correctly and do the things that it's made to do. and then we wind up with so many problems all over the body. It's just the ones that I showed you are the typical ones. So when you say, I had a stroke, I just explained that, right? Because the blood vessels are not opening and closing correctly, and then one of them eventually pops. And I want to show you this other aspect. It's the aspect of the capillaries, right? So at the end of every blood vessel, again, here's anatomy coming from the heart, right? And here's the vein going to the heart. Well, the way that the materials that you eat and drink and the things that you put in your body that's supposed to help you and has to get out of the blood vessels into the actual tissues, right? If we go back to this picture right here, when we're looking at, where's that picture of that person? That one, all right? If you look at this picture, when you eat and you break down your food, when you absorb your food, it's being sent everywhere where this is. You smoke a cigarette, all the toxins from your cigarettes going everywhere where you see blood vessels. You drink alcohol, it's going everywhere where you see blood vessels. If you're working in some type of chemical plant and you're getting chemicals on your skin, you're absorbing it to your body, it's going everywhere where you see. So this is the potential that you could have an issue when you get to this aspect, right? And so whether you're talking about your brain, your heart, your liver, your kidneys, your muscles, your intestines, your skin, it's the capillaries that release either the nutrition, the good things, or the bad things into the tissues. And this is how you can see, if I show you that picture again, right? If I'm releasing stuff all over the body, what part of the body is not being affected by something negative? What part of the body is not being affected by something positive? And so this is why when you listen to me talk about health, I'm not going to try to sell you a product. I don't want you to take a medication. I want you to understand how this body has been made by God to solve its own problems. We just have to know what to put in it to help go in the right direction. So all of you who have high blood pressure, nobody knows somebody who does. We're going to get into the solutions, but I just wanted to make a point here, and that this is the aspect of the human body that delivers what is necessary. And so when you start destroying these, if your blood pressure is very high, you're destroying some of these every day. And that's why you have circulation problems when you're 50. You didn't have circulation problems when you were 20 because this system was working correctly. But by the time you're 50, 60, so many of these have been destroyed on so many parts of the body, you can't see well. You can't walk well. You don't heal well. Your joints hurt. Your blood pressure high. You got diabetes. It's all the same because the whole body works through these systems, okay? And so I just wanted to talk about a few of solutions, and I'm just going to use some information that's typically in the media, all right? And we'll talk about whether I agree or I disagree. So they're talking about 15 natural ways to lower blood pressure, because I hope you all understand that after this program, after you learn a little more, the person that you're listening to doesn't want you to go to the doctor and ask for a different medicine or more medicine. I want you to start doing the things that it takes for you to get off of that medication, because every medication, let's go back and look at the list, every single one of these medications has a side effect. And if you take the medication long enough, the side effect becomes another problem. I just finished saying that every single one of these blood pressure medicines is working in a system of the body. And the question is, well, why did God make a beta system? Why did he make an angiotensin system? Why did he make angiotensin converting enzyme in the body? Why does he have a calcium channel blockers? And when you go and you start stopping the systems that God put in the body, what is your long-term consequence? Because I'm sure you all can agree with my experience, and I've never seen anybody take a blood pressure medicine and solve a blood pressure problem. They take a blood pressure medicine, and when they die, they were taking the blood pressure medicine. So obviously that's not the solution. Walk and exercise regularly. There are many people that talk about what they need to do from an exercise perspective, and they say they're going to do it in the new year, and it's March, and they already stopped even considering putting that program in their life. Very important. All right, we go back and we look at this picture right here. What keeps these blood vessels alive, what keeps these blood vessels able to do the things that it's made to do, open up to send more blood, close down to decrease, is mostly by the physical nature of the body. Okay, so when you're physically active, when you are doing, it doesn't have to be major exercise, but if you're walking on a regular basis or any type of other consistent exercise, it keeps all these blood vessels well. Serenity says amlodipine. Yeah, amlodipine is a calcium channel blocker. So let me know what your question is about that, please. Okay, so let's get back to the solutions. Reduce your sodium intake. So I just finished talking about this. What you need to do is reduce the fake salt or the bleach salt or the non-beneficial salt. But if you put sea salt and the correct type of sea salt in your life, you don't need to reduce your sodium intake. All of the elements on a periodic table are water soluble. So if you take in too much, you'll urinate it out into the toilet. But when you do the wrong type and it's the wrong, and it doesn't have any nutrients with it, then it is going to go in your body and cause problems before it goes out. Okay, so get the right type of salt. Alcohol. Let me see. It's She Slim. Says, I just told my sister that she's 21 with high blood pressure. Of course. And the amazing thing about your comment is that I just finished medical school just 25 years ago. And when I finished school, high blood pressure was a 60, 70, 80-year-old disease. And now we're diagnosing elementary school children and junior high school children with blood pressure problems. Because parents are not taking the time to do the right things, to teach the children, allowing them to go to school and eat this garbage that they have in the school. So at the end of the day, you know, we have to do better. We have to teach our children better. We have to be better examples. What's the right sea salt to get? My suggestion would be Celtic sea salt. And I don't have any ties to the company. I don't get paid by them. It's just what I've researched is the best. Okay, so those of you who drink alcohol, you go to happy hour every week and you're never happy. But anyway, you drink alcohol, and one of the first things that happens is it shuts down a system called your anti-diuretic system. So we have a system in our brain that is, where's the picture of the brain? Brain. Okay, so when you drink alcohol, there's a system in the brain that evaluates how much water is in the system, right? The human body is 75% water, brain is 80%. So when the brain starts to detect that there's not enough water in the system, it will either send thirsty signals or it will pull water from the other tissues of the body into the brain. When you drink alcohol, you shut that system down, and that's part of the hangover is high dehydration problems in the brain. That's what makes you sick, headache, dry mouth, intestines all tore up, throwing up on all that kind of stuff because that anti-diuretic hormone has been shut down. Okay, so alcohol is a horrible thing to do on a regular basis if you're trying to take care of your blood pressure. Let me see, Celtic, yeah. What are the dangers of taking amlodipine? Well, we'll have to get in. Let me see if I can get through everything, and then we'll get to some of the side effects of these medications. Tamito Makia Chain says, name it again slowly. Name what? Are you talking about the salt? Yes, it would be good for you to get some tomorrow. Willie, thank you for coming in. So, yeah, alcohol will definitely lead to more problems with your blood pressure. And think about this. If alcohol, I'm telling you, is the way that it works on the body is to decrease how much water isn't that similar to taking a diuretic? So in this public media, they'll tell you drink less alcohol, but they won't say that diuretics are bad. So, you know, alcohol kills brain cells, kills liver cells every time you drink them. A lot of horrible things it does to the body. And so it would be best to completely cut it out of your lifestyle, but, you know, if you're not going to do that, at least decrease how much you do. Potassium, I disagree with this 100%. My suggestion to all is to get away from thinking that you need to eat a food for a particular nutrient. All right, there are foods, like most of us know that if you eat a tomato or a kiwi or a strawberry or an orange, those foods have a good amount of vitamin C. But that's not the only nutrient in there. Bananas don't only have potassium, they have many other nutrients. There is not a food that I've ever researched, and I don't think there's a food that God made on this planet where you can go and get just one nutrient. Matter of fact, I shouldn't say I think, I'm for sure. There's an array of nutrients that come in these foods. And so you should have a good, diverse system of what you eat on a regular basis, and you can solve a blood pressure problem. But don't believe these people. If you have a horrible blood pressure problem, to go and eating bananas is going to solve the problem. No, not by itself. It is a part of the solution, but don't think that just because I eat a banana or two or three a day, it's going to bring my blood pressure down. Not if you're eating bad stuff and not drinking enough water and not hydrating and not exercising. It's still not going to be the solution. A balanced lifestyle is how you take care of it. A balanced lifestyle is how you solve problems. It's time to make a change. Yes, sir. Absolutely. And that's the reason why I do these programs. I don't do these programs for any reason other than to help empower you all to do the right thing. All fruit is good as long as it has seeds, all right? So yes, eat bananas, and they should have some spots on them. You know, that banana right there isn't ripe enough for you to eat. But anyway, another thing for another time. I've done plenty other programs, so if you all want to get into the, you know, the exact type of foods and all that, optimal vegetarianism, and the program on science of eating will be good. Cut back on your caffeine. Look, y'all, caffeine is a diuretic. It works on the kidneys and causes you to lose extra urine and extra nutrients. So yes, those of you who drink coffee all day to try to stay up, it's time to decrease the coffee and increase the exercise. Manage stress, of course. Stress does not cause blood pressure problems. You have to do a whole lot of things wrong, and then the stress will make it worse. Stress exacerbates medical problems, does not cause them. Maxine Bland, I've eaten more natural fruit daily since I came on these programs. I see the difference. Nothing fast, but consistent change. Absolutely. Thank you for making that wonderful point, because my experience is when I deal with people, no matter what, Camille, thank you for coming in. No matter what the type of medical problem that I see people are challenged with, when people start making significant changes to afford themselves a better health, you will a lot of times see some very good changes within the first couple of weeks. But it takes consistency, it takes diligence and dedication to solve problems. My personal expectation is that everybody that's listening to this program, if you understand the things that I'm saying and you understand how I'm explaining this, then tomorrow or today you have to get to work. Because you shouldn't have the perspective of fixing my blood pressure in a week. If you're walking around with a blood pressure of 187 over 120, which I've seen in plenty of people, if I took your blood pressure down to 120 over 70 today, you die. Your body can't make that type of an adjustment like that. Your body has to slowly bring that blood pressure down, readjust itself, bring it down some more, readjust itself, bring it down some more, readjust itself in order to get right. So there's no quick fix to anything. The key is, wherever you are today, if you're in the danger of having a stroke, if you're in the danger of tearing up your kidneys, if you're in the danger of having a heart attack, start today and do something. And as you continue to do something every day and you start seeing the benefits like Maxine just said, then you'll be inspired to make another change and continue these changes. And next thing you know, your blood pressure is 10 points down on the top number and 5 on the lower one. Well, now you brought yourself out of those danger ranges. Don't get confused. Don't get all crazy. Don't get hard on yourself. Keep putting your energy towards the solution. Don't worry about all the madness that's out here. Understand yourself. And what I know for sure is that if we listen to how our body is communicating with us, you'll always know when you're doing the right thing, and you'll always know when you're doing the wrong thing. Our bodies talk to us every day. The question is, are you listening, or do you know how to pay attention? Okay? And if you come here and you listen to the programs with the Ultimate Wellness Group, you will learn slowly but surely how to listen and then what to do. Shivani Shanae, thank you for coming in. You said definitely have to get to work. Yes, we all do. Edding Goldsmith, preach, brother, physicians heal thyself. Yes, sir. I thank you all for the compliments, and I thank you all for the statements. You know, and let me tell you this quick story. I met with a lady yesterday who is in a very bad health situation. She was saying all the right things, I'm going to get started. You know, what's been holding me back is my mind frame. I just didn't believe those doctors and yada, 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 yada. After she finished talking, I said, hey, well, that sounds good. But her daughter was on the call, and her daughter was sitting there looking like, oh, here she go again. And so I told her, I said, you know, all of that's beautiful. But after you finish talking, what you should do is go and pray. And then go look in the mirror and ask yourself if you believe what you say. Because it's one thing for you all to sit here and listen to a man who has this passion and you get inspired because you're hearing me. But it's another thing for you to get up tomorrow and do something about it. It's another thing to say, you know what, I'm going to go find some sea salt and hydrate myself before I go to bed tonight. You know what, I'm going to set my alarm clock for 30 minutes or an hour early in the morning and put it in the bathroom, so I got to get out to bed. I can't hit it and turn it off, so I can get up and go do some exercise in the morning. You know what, tomorrow when I go to work, instead of parking right next to the door, I'm going to park at the end of the parking lot so I can walk to work. Of course, if the weather's right. Y'all understand what I'm saying? So make sure that this turns into some type of activity. Because if you can say, or you can think, or you can inspire yourself because you're hearing something that has to maintain itself in some type of activity, otherwise it's a waste of time. I don't believe I'm an inspirational speaker and a motivational speaker. I don't want to be labeled with that madness, because I think that's all highway robbery. I believe that I'm giving you information, news that you can use, that if you take this and you start applying it, you can say the same thing that Maxine just finished saying. So I hope that makes sense. I'm not trying to put anybody down, but I am trying to say that you got to get to work, right? And a couple of you have said that you got to get to work. Yes, get to work. And don't think that you have to get everything right today, tomorrow, next week, by the end of the month. No, start with one thing. Start with a couple of things and do those well and maintain those and watch how it will have an effect on your body. Don't overburden yourself trying to think you're going to solve a problem that took 30 years to occur and you're going to solve it before the end of 2020. Wrong answer. Bad mistake. Put too much pressure on yourself. And then when you don't meet your goal, you get more burdened with your own self-destruction. I hope that makes sense. I had to say that. All right, Julian Vaughn, thank you for coming in. A wonderful lesson almost here. Thank you, thank you. Kathy Wheaton, can you wean, I think you said wean yourself off blood? Absolutely. That would be something you have to contact me about, because, you know, I'm just talking general things right now. If anybody wants to do that, contact me. Let's put a program together. I see people do it all the time. Shivani Shanae, what about Himalayan salt? Yes, if it just says just sea salt in the ingredients, Himalayan, the only difference between Himalayan, Celtic, and some of the black salts is just the origination of it. If the soil is black, the salt's going to be black. If the soil is gray, the salt is going to be gray. If the soil is pink, the salt's going to be pink. That's the only difference. Just make sure there are no other ingredients in it. Maxine says, we tend to speak falsely to ourselves with no desire to make the change. It hurt me when I lied to myself, and it certainly hurts me to see others lie to themselves. What a blessing. Thank you again. Well, thank you for being a continuous person to come back with great questions and great great additions. And again, everybody, if you think this is a worthy show, please share it. Share it and send it to people. Let them know. This is the type of information that God said the same will help empower you to do better and be better. James New Way Out said, when you were eating one meal a day, is that all that you ate? Well, you got to go back and check out my last show. If I have time at the end, I'll get to that. But I did a show on meal preparation for health and weight loss. And I also did an example of 3 days of meals that I eat. So if you get a chance, check that out. That's on Facebook and YouTube. That 1 meal a day piece. Yeah, it's really important. Serenity. If you eat 1 meal a day, what should you eat? So that's it. Yeah, it's on the other program. So if I have time, I'll go into it. But if not, you all please check out the other shows. Cynthia says, had that experience 2019. Where did you? Oh, there you go. Had that experience 2019, and by Allah's grace and making changes, my blood pressure is much lower. Still have a lot to do, but exercise and more veggies help. Thank you for that testimony. I appreciate it. Maxine, this is a blessing. I have made small changes. You know, I'm striving daily. That's right. It's a daily battle, because we're living in a world that is not trying to promote us being healthy. Dwayne Ferguson says, wellness is a journey. Absolutely. You know, and, you know, a lot of us have heard people say things like, you know, I just take it one day at a time. Well, hell, what else could you do? You're not living a week at a time. Every day, make a decision. I'm going to do this. I'm going to maintain this activity. And you will see. What do you think about CMOS? I think CMOS has good abilities because of what I just said. CMOS is a algae from the ocean. So it has a lot of the same nutrients that are in sea salt. And so it benefits you in that way and giving you a lot of the nutrients. I just don't suggest sea moss because that's, to me, if we concentrate on food, we don't need those other things. But that is in no way trying to knock sea moss. It does a good thing, but I get mine from my sea salt and my food. Carlo Merriweather, what type of food do you recommend to eat daily? Again, we'll get to that at the end if I have a chance. If not, y'all check out the other videos. Jafik Atman said, it won't let me upload the pic, but it's made from evaporated seawater. Well, if that's all that's in the ingredients, my brother, that's probably good. You know, again, I have no tie to any particular company. I don't make any money from any company. The reason why I use Celtic sea salt is because I looked at some research that compared Celtic sea salt to the other sea salt companies and other sea salts from around the world, and the number of nutrients that were in Celtic sea salt were a little higher. And so I'm trying to maximize what I put in my body, and so that's why I do Celtic sea salt. There are times when I use Himalayan sea salt, and there are times when I use other products, but that's usually when I'm somewhere else and not in my house. And typically when I'm out like that, I don't eat other places, but the occasion that I do, I have used other sea salts. So I'm not promoting anything in particular. Just make sure you do your research and get the best that you can get. Paula Claiborne, thank you for coming in. You say, yeah, I'm so glad that oh yeah, I'm glad you tuned in as well. Shaniqua, thank you for coming in. How do you hydrate with Celtic sea salt? All right, I'm gonna do that in just a minute. All right, Judah, do the meds do more damage than good? Always. I said earlier that on all of these blood pressure medications, go back and look at them real quick. On every single one of these medications, you look at the sheet, right, of what, like, you know, when you take that little packet in the medication box or bottle and you open it up, right, it's usually, I mean, it's much bigger than a normal piece of paper. But the section that tells you what it's going to do for your body and what it's supposed to help is that big. And the sections that tell you how bad it is page after page after page after page. It interact with this, interact with that, interact with this. All of these medications have side effects. And every single one of these medications is just a matter of time is going to cause another problem, so you'll have to be on another medication, okay? A lot of beautiful questions. Let me get to a few more of these solutions, and then I'm going to come back to the questions if you all don't mind, okay? So I'm going to find where that last question was, and then I'm going to come back to it, all right? Eat dark chocolate or cocoa. I would not suggest that to any of you because that would probably have to be another show altogether. The chocolate that most people have the availability to is not real, doesn't have the beneficial things in it. Most of the chocolate that's on sale in typical stores is absolute garbage, okay? Lose weight, yes. If you know when you take your clothes off after your shower and you look in the mirror and you know you're bigger than you need to be, don't start deceptive intelligence talking about, you know, I think I look pretty good compared to last week. I think I look a little better than I was last month. Hey, get yourself to a good weight. And again, as the brother said, this is a journey. So don't think that it took you 40 years to gain that 110 pounds and you're going to lose it before the summer. Stop it. Take your time. The same things that you will do if you listen to my programs will give you the same type of benefit that Maxine just talked about. Making a few changes little by little will get you going in the right direction. That's all you need to do. You start solving your problems by going in the right direction. Look here, I said this before. I have had patients that have been 350 pounds. My largest patient was 500. Losing 30 to 40 pounds in huge people like that make a major difference and give the body some benefit. So wherever you are, don't get yourself all twisted up in a fast weight loss program. That's going to kill you. Getting surgeries, that's going to tear your body apart. So work on it day by day, little by little, and next thing you know, by the end of the year, you'll be better. By next year, you'll be a different person. Quit smoking. I don't care if you're smoking blunts, weed, you're doing e-cigarettes, you're vaping, cigarettes, blunts, cigars. You are tearing up your blood vessels, and eventually they're going to get to that when I talked about earlier with the arteriosclerosis. Let me see if I can find it again so I can show y'all what I'm talking about. That one right there. Okay? It's one thing to get plaque inside where the flow can't go correctly, but it's another thing to harden the arteries. And those of you who smoke, it doesn't take but a few years and your arteries are hardened. And I talked to you all about my patient before, the one that talked to me every time I came to see her. I don't want to hear you say nothing about my smoking. Yeah, when she died, it was a horrible death. It was a horrible few months when she was on her way to the death, when that cancer in her neck started impinging on her swallowing tube, on her esophagus, and she couldn't even eat anymore. That was a horrible life. It's not worth it. Get to the solution, get to the reason why you smoke, and start trying to work on that, please. Cut added sugar and refined carbs. I talk about that all the time. All of this processed food is killing us. It damages your blood vessels like we just talked about. Again, yes, eat berries, but eat all fruit and have a good balanced diet. Meditation, deep breathing, whatever type of relaxation techniques you need, that's good. But that's still not solving the problem. We got to get to solving the problem. Calcium-rich foods, yes. And they're showing a picture of milk. Don't believe that you can just drink any milk out of the grocery store. You have to have milk that has not been homogenized, and you are either going to a co-op or you're going to a farm and getting it yourself. Go back and check out my program. I did a milk post. I went in depth in that. You can learn everything you need to learn about milk by going to that. That's the type of milk that you should put in your body, not that madness that's in the grocery store. I don't care if it says organic or not. Take natural supplements. Absolutely not, in my opinion. Now, I'm not saying garlic won't work, and I'm not saying some of these other things that people will suggest for your blood pressure won't assist it, but I'm not the type of person that wants to tell you to buy more products. Eat the right type of foods, exercise, get your lifestyle right, and you will be okay. And again, this eat foods rich in this and rich in that. No. Have a good balanced life. Have a good balanced dietary intake, and you will be fine. Now, I'm going to show this simply to make that point. It's not even necessary. This is another one of those articles about the coronavirus. I'm sick of talking about it. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. The only reason I brought this up is because this, a lot of times they talk in these words and this coded language that the public can't really understand. But they're saying in this article that the supplements may help, but the problem linked to vitamin D supplementation were high blood calcium levels, meaning that it's not working the way they think it's going to work. And then they get down here and what does it say? Number needed to treat. Daily or weekly vitamin D users in this study, that's a low number. And so, long story short, when you get your nutrients out of food, it is exactly the way that God wants you to have it in there. So those of you who have a high blood pressure problem, you have to start eating the right type of foods. If you put navy beans in your body, the calcium's going to be there. And if you put some salt in there, you're going to get the sodium. You eat some fruit, you're going to get your nutrients. You don't need to overburden your body with 1,000 milligrams of calcium every day. And you can't even use it. And all of the studies are saying that that's worthless because it's going right out into the toilet. You're not even absorbing it, getting into your body. Get out of that mind frame. There is no quick fix to nothing. Take your time. Learn from my programs and anywhere else you can learn. Now, I think a lot of these people out here are just trying to sell products. I haven't tried to sell you anything. So if you can learn from my programs, learn, implement, and watch the changes happen. You don't need to have 40,000 milligrams of vitamin C going in your body, 50 and 60 and 100,000 IUs of vitamin D. No, get the right foods. Do it in a way that makes sense. Listen to what I say in Optimal Vegetarian and the Science of Eating, and do it in that manner and watch your body improve. There is not a medical problem that any of you have, any of you that have heard of, or that you see in your family that I haven't seen solved with the right type of lifestyle program, okay? Have confidence in yourself, have confidence in what God gave you, but get to work, all right? It doesn't take a whole lot of nutrients. It just takes a good amount of our nutrients going in on a regular basis to get your body where it needs to be. So let's see if we can get these answers real quick. Do the meds do more damage? Absolutely. Siobhan Shanae says, I did 7 days water only and I had many great benefits. I need to continue my journey. Yes. Yes, absolutely. Paula Claiborne, my doctor said if I try to change every day, long as you make it a change, then you get better. My doctor said if I try to change every day, as long as you make it a change, then you get better. Yeah, if it's a change for the better, you have to be going in the right direction. And on this subject matter of high blood pressure, what you really want to do is not have the end organ damage. You don't want to damage your kidney. You don't want to damage your heart. You don't want to damage your, excuse me, your brain. You don't want to damage your reproductive organs, right? And so every day you do something better. At the same time you do the things that cause the blood pressure to go down, you're doing things to heal the damage that you've already done. Just have confidence. You're going to be okay. Darlene Paisley, glad to be watching. I'm glad that you came in. Linda Muhammad, this is the first time on, so I'm really enjoying your information that you're giving, and I look forward to reviewing with you again. Absolutely. Thank you for coming in. Alan Bowden says the three main basic foods and how to eat to live are navy beans, wheat bread, and raw milk. Absolutely. So, for those of you who are listening to me for the first time, the foundation of what I do, the foundation of what I talk about, the foundation of how I improve people came from this book. I'm a traditionally trained doctor, came from the medical school just like all the rest of these doctors. But when I read this book, book 1 and book 2, it changed everything. My health improved, and everybody that I work with health improved. And I have no medical problems that so-called run in my family, so it's a thing of the past. Latree says, does Messenger's coffee have diuretic properties? Yeah, all caffeine has that property, but the point that I was getting to earlier is that most people do too much. If you drink 1 cup of coffee, even if it's a nice size, that's not going to cause as much diuresis to damage you. But it's the people that drink these big old cups of coffee and they have all the cream and the sugar and all that kind of stuff in it, and they drink 3 and 4 and 5 of those a day. They're damaging their body by dehydrating it so bad. And then, like that article we were looking at, that processed sugar is damaging the body at the same time. So that's where it becomes bad. Maxine says, I stopped eating chocolate. I was an addict for Hershey's, nightmare on my street. I basically don't want to die due to bad food choice. Yeah, and that's my point. Hershey's chocolate is fake. That's mostly whack. So that's what I meant by not listening to those type of suggestions, because most people don't know how to evaluate chocolate. There's a very specific reality in evaluating chocolate, and most of us on this program have never tasted real chocolate. It doesn't taste like that Hershey's bar at all. Milky Way, Snickers, that's not the way real chocolate tastes. So we have to have a little more understanding about that. Ann Taylor, 9 years, no smoking for me. Thank you very much. And maybe when we come back and do a program, Ann Taylor, I'd like for you to come on and tell us how you got off of that smoking, okay? Gypsum Eugene, my pressure is 150/90. Yeah, it was time to get to work, my brother, because my goal for everybody I deal with is 120/70 or better, okay? 120/70, no consequences. And your blood pressure is higher than that, just a matter of time, okay? Julian Vaughn, can you reverse damage to your blood vessels? Absolutely. Everything in the body can reverse if we stop it in time and if we do the right things. I stopped smoking cigarettes and marijuana years ago. I pray my good habits reverse the bad. Absolutely they will. Have the confidence, all right? And let me tell you all something. For every single one of you that don't have the confidence that what you have done is good, it absolutely has. Look at the people that you know of, smoked all their life, drank all their life, ate bad all their life. Quick story. I had this black man that came in my office one day. He was my patient for about a year and a half, and then he just disappeared. I never saw. I don't know what happened to him. It was one of the darkest black men I had ever met in my life. He had an afro about that thick, right? We in the 2000s, he's still wearing his afro. Dark skin. The man never ate fruit, never ate vegetables, smoked every day, drank every day, and his diet was completely meat and potatoes. The man was 60 years old and looked beautiful. His skin was shining. Everything looked so great. Now, why am I saying that? Because your body is always going to try to live right. Your body is always going to try to live at the best and the highest level. Your body is always seeking your immune system. Even when you're sleeping, you don't know nothing about it. Your immune system is looking for things to fix in your body. So when you stop doing negative things and you start doing positive things, you are adding life to yourself. And then if you fast, you're doing that much more. Get the book, How to Eat to Live. Listen to what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says. He said when you eat one meal every other day, you're adding that much more to your life. And if you ate one meal every 3 days, you're starting to push up to hundreds of years. Okay, so yes, you can live a lot longer than anybody you know by making those type of decisions and making those type of choices and making those type of changes. Maxine, stopping cigarettes, stopping marijuana, stop smoking, stop drinking, stop partying, stop acting crazy, eating all these bad foods, eating all this meat, you're adding many, many years to your life of good health. I'm not talking about sitting in some home in a bed and people wiping your behind and turning you. No, taking care of your everyday business like you desire to. You're looking and listening to a man who plans on living at least to 200, if God say the same. So if I can do it, so can you. Because I smoked, I drank, I did drugs many, many years. Crazy doctor, just like most of the other ones out there. Not qualified to be your physician. A person that's qualified to be your physician is one that's trying to live the example that they're telling you. Not fat, drinking, smoking, acting crazy, running after women, and then coming in the office trying to tell you to change your lifestyle. No, be what it is that you want to tell people to be. And that's the philosophy I live by now. Latrice says, I had a patient who never smoked. He was exposed to secondhand smoke. He had 3 heart attacks and died. Yeah, but that's a good point. But I definitely don't believe that secondhand smoke is worse than smoking. That is false information. That person that's sucking on that thing and pulling all that crap in them, they're getting the worst of it. Those of us that are around are smelling it, we getting damaged too. But there could have been a lot of things that caused his heart attacks and caused his death. Edding Goldsmith says, I'm post-kidney transplant for 15 years. Can I wean myself off of the meds I take? None of them are steroids. Absolutely. Reach out to me. Let's work on it. All right. That wouldn't be easy. It's going to take serious work. But yes, I do believe there's nothing that I have seen as a physician in my 25 years of practicing medicine. The worst thing that a person can present themselves to me with is pancreatic cancer. I have never seen anything good come out of that. I believe that can be healed if we catch it in time. So all the rest of y'all, you within that. Jane Johnson Muhammad said, easier said than done. I see it every day. Yeah, it is easier said than done. The philosophy is easy. Putting the work in to change your lifestyle is going to be the hardest thing you ever did. Absolutely, I agree. Desire feeds the will. What's important to us is valuable for us when it comes to making choices for being healthy, period. And absolutely, that's a beautiful statement because, some of us are out there running after that bag to get a good house, to live in a nice area, to have a nice car, your clothes are nice, you go nice places, you do all these things. But what are you doing daily for the maintenance of your health? If your health is a consequence of you going after that bag, it's going to catch up to you. And then what will the car and the house and all the money be then? Got to ask ourselves that. Put things back in perspective. Now believe that and get to work. I'm praying for all of us. Yeah, me too. Gibson, is that real bad? 150? No, that's not real bad, but that's still high enough where it's causing some damage. And every day you cause damage, you're getting closer to having some bad problem at the end. So if you're interested, reach out. We can solve that problem. I've seen blood pressure problems solved in 3 months, 6 months. Almost regularly. High blood pressure, very easy to fix. Most of y'all can fix it by yourself, but if you need help, let me know. I got you. Kenneth Cool Wallace, I'm a first-time viewer. Is this a weekly program? Yes, sir. Transformation Tuesday, every Tuesday, my schedule permitting. Sometimes things happen, but yes, on the Tuesday. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate you coming in your first time. Kimberly Harris, now knowledge is power. Knowledge is power when we apply it. So yes, I agree with that statement as long as the application is part of it. Alicia Bird, God willing, I will start your advice tomorrow. Thank you, Doc. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for getting to work. Icy Michael Corleone, how do you feel about black seed oil? I think black seed oil is good. It's just, it comes from too far away from where we are in this country. It's made in places like India and some of those, Afghanistan and some of those countries around there. So, anything that you take off of a plant, once you take it off of a plant, it starts to deteriorate. And so how long did they take it off the plant? How long did it take to get to the processing plant? How long did it take them to press it into the oil? When did they put it into the canister? When did the canister get moved to where it was going to put, so it's put in the bottle that you buy? And then how long did it sit on the counter before you bought it? Those are all the things that go into the deteriorating factor of a natural substance. So is black seed oil good? Yes. But is black seed oil absolutely necessary? I don't use it. I don't knock it, but I don't use it because of that fact. You know what I'm saying? So I hope I'm clear. I'm not knocking it, but there are many things that we can do. Barbara Brackus, thank you for coming in. Thank you for being here. Read that lisinopril is not good for African Americans. Yeah, none of them are. And we ought to be really careful when they start talking about the fact that a medicine is good for black people, because we have been experimented on in so many ways. If you all ever get a chance, check out the book. Medical Apartheid, Acres of Skin. There are many books out there that talk about the experimentation that happens with black people. I don't trust the medications. I don't trust the pharmaceutical companies. And I especially don't trust when they say a particular medicine is for black people. Very wary to this person because of all the experience and the research that I've done. D. Shields, can you talk about A1C relation to high blood pressure or heart concerns? I'm going to have to do that because I'm already supposed to be ending this show. We're going to have to do that another, well, I will get to that. Give me just a second. Well, let me just deal with it really quick. A1C in relation to high blood pressure or heart concerns. Yes, the higher your A1C, the worse the blood vessels are. Okay, so let's look back at these blood vessels, okay? When a person has diabetes, arterial sclerosis, right? This is the hardening of the arteries, and this is the putting the plaques in the arteries. Both of these things are happening in a diabetic. Why? Because sugar, high levels of sugar running through these blood vessels is extremely damaging to blood vessels. And then because a person who has diabetes has to have a horrible diet in order to have diabetes, the likelihood is that they have these atheromas as well, right? So you have these big old plaques in your blood vessel and they're very stiff. So that's why the higher your A1C, the likelihood that both of these things are happening. And so these two things right here lead to heart attacks and they lead to blood pressure and they lead to end organ damage. Okay, so let me know if I answered your question. Ishmael Ghani, I have cocoa in my backyard. The rest of your statement didn't come through, so let me know what you're saying. Emmanuel Harrell, you say go plant-based alkaline, Dr. Sabi nutritional guide. Well, no. I did a program on alkalinity and what that means. I actually met Dr. Sabi, had a conversation with him. I respect him. I love him. He's a great, great reason why I am where I am, but Dr. Sabi and I do not agree on everything. Dr. Sabi started in How to Eat to Live, and the day that I met him, I told him that we needed to have a public forum, private first and then a public forum to discuss our differences. But my understanding of the science, alkaline is not where you want to be. Neutral is where you want to be. I've been in a hospital, in the emergency room, in the ICU unit. If a person is alkaline, they're dead. If a person is acidic, they're dead. We want to live in neutral. So if you all want to know the specifics about that, check out the program that I did on alkalinity and let me know what you think. D Shields, exactly, better for your medical team's habits. I'm not sure what you're talking about, but Latrice says, I agree 100%. So right, that's health. That health is number one. Some of us live long enough to realize, some of us don't. That's right. D Shields, first time viewer and loving this. Well, thank you. I appreciate you coming in. Good questions. Linda, I need help with my blood pressure. Hey, y'all reach out to me, okay? You can send a text message. You can send a message through here. Give me a call at 832-429-4576. Again, that's 832-429-4576. Or you can message me, through any of my platforms, all right? Yes, thank you, Ann Taylor. Deborah Tab McClendon, great information, first time viewer. Thank you for coming in. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Nikki Bentley, what's the deal with the coronavirus? I did a whole program, 2 programs on that. Please go back and check it out. They're on my Facebook and my YouTube, The Ultimate Wellness Group. Tanae Pleasant, love the information. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Valerie, my cousin, 54 years young, was given 6 to 8 weeks to live after fighting leukemia with chemo and radiation. Can she turn that around? Absolutely. I believe she can. I think leukemia is one of the more easy cancers to turn around if it's certain types. So, yes, reach out to me. Let's get busy. D. Kiki, can you repeat the name of the books that you just mentioned? The first one was Medical Apartheid by Harriet Washington, and the other one was Acres of Skin. I don't remember the name of that author, but both of them talk about the experimentation that have happened in black people in this country in our sojourn here. Mansfield Purifoy. Me either, bro. Common sense. Yes, sir. D. Shields. My mother has diabetes and heart disease. Hey, be a good example, right? Show her what it looks like to change. Or, help her get where she needs to go. Silos Congas. Great info. Glad I found this group. Yes, thank you. I appreciate you coming in. D. Shields, you did answer. Thank you. Shaolin Shoulder. My longtime brother to always support me. Thank you for coming in, bro. Maxine, thank you, Dr. Key, for another live transformation show. Yes, ma'am. Thank you for always being a part. One of my greatest supporters. Kevin Clay just had a craniotomy surgery. Now seizures, left-sided brain surgery. Yeah, you need to reach out, bro. If you want me to help you, we're gonna have to get that information. Let me check it out, and then let's do what we got to do. Ramon Monte Calvin. So what is neutral? Neutral would be where most of us live, in that 7.4 to 7.45 area. That's where the body lives at its optimal state. When your pH goes into alkaline, you're damn near dead. When you go into acidic, you're damn near dead. There has to be a more in-depth conversation about what Dr. Sebi meant. When he started talking about alkaline in public, a lot of people in the public have taken that information and ran with it and don't know what they're talking about. And as I said, I did tell him to his face, I'm not disrespecting Dr. Sebi. I love and cherish that man. But I told him when we had a conversation together, I said, look, bro, we have to settle this for the community, the overall black community in this country and the world. We have to let them know some of these things that we disagree on. We have to let them know what is the best way to do that. So y'all check out the show and let me know if we have to talk about that or do some more deep conversation about it. Let's make it happen. Thomas Baker, how do we remain neutral? You got to check out the show, okay? Because too late today. I'm neutral too, brother, but the effects of no meat are great. Absolutely. Getting meat out of your diet is one of the greatest things you can do for your overall health as well as blood pressure. Kathy Wheaton, you in Houston. I live in Houston. Yes, I'm in Houston most of the time. Right now I'm in California, but Houston is where I live. Carl Brown, thank you for coming in. Torian Henderson, I came late, but I will call. Yes, look forward to hearing from you. Thomas Baker, can alkaline kill disease and then go back to neutral? No, alkaline will kill the body. The human body cannot live in an alkaline state. That's not accurate information, okay? The phone number again, please, 832-429-4576. 832-429-4576. Thank you, Serenity. I appreciate it. William, thank you, bro. Nikki Bentley, thank you. Carl Brown, just made ice cream. Yeah, that's on my diet program, so check that out. Katasha Smart, need to ask about 4 meds my mom is on: blood pressure medicine, amlodipine, furosemide, carvedilol, hydroxyzine. Is this too much? She is 101. Absolutely. If she is 101, that's beautiful. But if she's on all that medication and we work to get her off, she might live to 201. Torian Henderson, I need to reverse my blood pressure issues. I've recently gone completely plant-based. Okay, well, yeah, keep working on it. If you need my help, let me know. Deborah Tab, what can my mom do for neuropathy in her feet from chemo? Reach out to me. I have to get more information. Katasha Smart, thanks for the show. I'll be tuning in. Thank you. I appreciate it. Come on back. Emmanuel Harrell, I'll be inboxing you. Yes, sir. Look forward to it. Thomas Baker, best nutrition plan for hitting the gym. How to eat to live, and put navy beans in your plan. I talked about that in The Science of Eating and in Optimal Vegetarianism. Please check out that show. Maxine Bland, if you go to YouTube and look, either Ultimate Wellness Group, all the contact, yes. Mansfield, will cause swelling at hands and stiff wrists. Most of the time, your lymph system, the system of the body that takes out the trash and all the old stuff. So check out my program I did on boosting energy and boosting energy and improving your detoxification at the same time, something like that. Mansfield, I will probably have to inbox you the one that I dealt with that, okay? No meat eater here, been about 13 months. Great, I'm sure you got plenty benefits with that. What is a good source of B12, and do women need it the most? No, women don't need it the most. A good source of B12 would be mostly eggs. And you got to eat the yolk. Carlo Merriweather says, ain't 7.4 alkaline? No, 7.4 is neutral. That's the big mistake that a lot of people make. They think that right there in the middle is alkaline. No, that is the state of neutrality. So check out the program and let me know what you think. Yes, ma'am. How can you boost the immune system against this coronavirus mess? Check out my programs. I did that, went in depth on 2 programs, so check that out, please. Okay, so we're getting to the end. Kathy Wheaton, thank you. George Allen, thank you. Cindy Newman, thank you. Raymond Monte Calvin, been diagnosed with lupus. Don't like taking med that weakens the immune system. Holla at me. We can solve that. Now, not we, you can solve that. We can work together and you can solve that. Clifton Lowerly, so maintaining an alkaline body is not healthy for you, but neutral is. Absolutely. Neutral is where you want to be. Neutral is where the body is at its best ability and capability, not anywhere else. Maxine, okay, so we're going to have to get to that another time, all right? Y'all, I got to go. Ran over about 20 minutes. I don't want to hold your time. I want to do an hour every week. If you all are interested in doing some shows on specific subject matters and we have to run over, that's good, but I want to be respectful of your time, and plus, I got to get to something today, okay? So thank you all for coming in. Remember, in the world we live in, your health is what you put into it. So the only way to have good health in this day and time is to work hard on your health. Have your mind on your health and your health on your mind every day. And I hope that you all learn some news that you can use today. I hope you subscribe to my YouTube channel. I hope you like this channel. I hope you send this to somebody and keep on coming back every week so that we can continue to grow a positive, healthy environment of people so that we can change the condition of the world we live in. All right? Thank you all. I appreciate you. Peace.